video where I pretty much just show you how I use OBS. I'm primarily a laptop user, so all of my tips are designed to optimize use for OBS while using a laptop. If you only own a laptop, or say you want to use your laptop as a tool for making videos, you can use OBS for streaming to your favorite platform, and that includes Facebook gaming, YouTube gaming, Twitch, DLive, I don't know, pretty much any live streaming service that you can think of. You can use OBS and stream to whichever service you prefer. OBS is the broadcasting software that you'll use to pick up a stream of your camera, desktop, or your game, whatever you're trying to stream, and either record that and just make a recording that you can edit, or that can become a live stream and I totally turned up the cutoff on my microphone, but there's some sirens going off outside. It's like only 8:20 in the morning, but everyone's up and at it, committing crimes out there, I'm sure. Running some red lights and stuff. Maybe some petty theft. I don't know, speeding. What is OBS? OBS is a broadcasting software that can be used to record or live stream your content to your favorite platform. If you want to make YouTube videos, OBS is a great way to capture your screen. Say you're an artist and you want to screen capture your art while you're making art, you can use OBS for that. Playing games, then you can screen capture your game. Depending on what type of game you want to be screen capturing, then you might need extra software or hardware. For example, if you want to play PS4 games or Xbox One games, then you're gonna have to probably get a capture card and use that in combination with OBS. And OBS is a broadcasting software that is used on your computer, so whether it's a laptop computer or a desktop computer, OBS will work great for either. Depending on the power of your computer that you're using OBS on, then you may or may not be able to run your games at full strength. For example, I use a Lenovo Legion Y520 gaming laptop, and it definitely gets the job done. But there's some times when I've had to turn down the settings on my favorite game or whatever I'm playing. Like, I think BioShock, the most recent BioShock, was the last one that I had to turn down all the settings, and I was really depressed about it because everyone was raving about how awesome the graphics were in the newest BioShock, and the water, you know, the game started off where you're like in the water and it's supposed to be all transformational experience, but actually if you're trying to stream from a laptop, whether it's a gaming laptop or in general like any type of laptop, you may find out that you're faced with challenges such as limitation. Most of the tips that I have are based on getting the most out of what's possible when streaming or gaming on a laptop. The laptop that I use every day for streaming and content creation is the Lenovo Legion Y520 gaming laptop, and there's a lot of great things about it that I would love to go into more details about later. I had a Dell laptop, I had a Toshiba laptop, and I thought those were good enough to stream from, and it was not good enough. Finally, the Lenovo Legion gaming laptop is good enough for me to stream most of the games that I want to be able to stream, even though sometimes I do have to turn down the settings and then I cry a little bit. But the fact that we can manage to have a successful stream, or at least a decent quality stream for the most part, is more than I could ask for. I'm very happy and satisfied about that. I figured what I would do is go through OBS, the software, and show you what I know about the settings, and when I go through it, just keep in mind that I'll be telling you the best settings for if you have a laptop, or if you're on a budget, or you're on a budget gaming laptop or desktop or whatever it is. If you happen to be working with limitation, and I know the feeling, then this video is definitely for you, because I'll do my best to give you the tips and tricks that I have learned to successfully stream or capture whatever I'm trying to get. So what is OBS and what is it used for? It's a one of the cool unique features about OBS is that it stands for Open Broadcasting Software, which means that it's open source and that anybody can contribute to the broadcasting software OBS. Pretty much you can just go to GitHub and download all the source code and add to it or tweak it however you like. It can be a really fun challenge for people who are into coding or learning how to customize their software, whether it's OBS or other softwares like Blender. You can use Python, and you can use Python scripting to make add-ons for Blender. I just learned that recently. Maybe you don't know how to do any type of coding, and that's okay, because you definitely do not need to know how to do any type of coding to use OBS. However, if you do know some code like CSS, then you can in fact add some custom code and CSS to your sources in OBS, and that can become an extra fun bonus. So I'll show you what my OBS overlay looks like first, and then then I'll show you how to like start from scratch. Something that's really fun about OBS is that you can have different scenes, and if you've ever done a type of presentation or a report where you've had to show different slides or different pages, or you know, PDF file or something like that for work or school, then you might be familiar with PDF files or slideshows. With OBS, you can have different scenes, and you can design each scene to have each thing that you're going to talk about on each of these scenes, and then you can have seamless transitions between those scenes and really nice customized transitions. They can be seamless, they can be customized, they can be discreet, or they can be really flamboyant transitions. You can choose exactly how long the transitions are between your scenes, and it can be as simple or as complex as you like. So whether you're a noob and you've never done OBS or streaming or screen capture, whether you've either never done it before or you're a seasoned pro, OBS has a lot of cool options and add-ons. You don't really need to get the add-ons and everything. You can get going just right off the bat. I'll just start at the top left corner and we'll work our way down, okay? So once you have OBS installed and open on your computer, you can go to the File tab, and that will give you these options shown right here. Show recordings. Pretty much if you forget where to find your recordings, just go up here to Show Recordings, and that'll take you to wherever you have designated for your recordings to be. That's where I told mine to be, is under D drive, projects, videos, OBS. So every time I press record or I do a stream, so long as you have save recording enabled, then it'll automatically go into that folder. You can go to File and then choose Settings right here, but this is the same option as choosing Settings down here. So Settings up here, takes a second to load, is the same exact one as Settings down here. So if you forget where to find this stuff, you can find it from multiple places within the software, which is a good thing in my opinion. Nice to have multiple ways to get where you're going, and also, you know, if you're just trying to get shit done. Anyway, so once you're in the Settings tab, this is where all the magic will begin. Is you'll want to make sure that you have the correct settings, and if you don't, then you might not be able to do anything. You might not be able to record properly, and you especially might have problems going live if you don't have the settings correct. Under the General Settings tab right here, you can just leave a lot of the default settings just the way they are. And like here under the General Settings tab, you got regular stuff like language, theme. Of course, I love dark theme. I prefer dark theme pretty much in all cases. When it comes to software, I will always try to get the dark theme whenever possible. If I don't use dark theme, I feel like I'm burning my eyes. The last thing I need to do is get punished for trying to just be productive. You can decide whether or not you want to check this stuff. Automatically check for updates on startup, open stats dialog on startup. A lot of this stuff may take up a little bit of extra CPU, so I personally will uncheck anything that I know for a fact I don't need. Show confirmation dialog when starting streams. I'm a woman that knows what I want, so I don't need all this confirmation situation. So a lot of the stuff I just unchecked because otherwise it'll just like give me all these warnings when I'm just trying to go live. And I have it set up on my stream deck for whenever I do actually go live onto Twitch, usually is where I'll be going live, is I'll have my stream deck set up with a multi-action. So it'll do like 5 things at once. Those things on that multi-action include everything that's necessary, like turning off certain things and making sure that my mic is muted before I go live. So these other options here are like automatically start replay buffer when streaming. I believe that the buffers will take a little bit more CPU. Some people have a choice between using a CPU or a GPU on your computer, and for me, I have the NVIDIA i7 Intel. But there are definitely certain programs on my laptop that I will designate whether or not I open with the GPU or versus the CPU. Most of this stuff, just keep it the way it is. I don't even see anything that I would change. I don't know what these cool options for studio mode are exactly, except for that I have tried and used the studio mode, and I like studio mode because if you are live and you are trying to edit the next scene that's going to come up, and you are sure that you know how to use studio mode and you don't accidentally switch your scenes while you're live, you can manage to use studio mode and actually edit them before you go live and switch scenes, or before you switch scenes while you're live. You might have to try things out and see what works best for you. And I've just left it the way it works for me. I don't even want to like mess with it too much. If you change anything, just make sure to hit apply. Okay, so under stream, this is where you choose what output your stream is going to go to. As you can see, there's lots of different default options here like Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Facebook Live, Restream, Twitter. Don't forget that once you get something like Twitch affiliate status, you cannot use Restream IO, and basically you can still stream to different platforms, but when you sign on to become a Twitch affiliate and accept all those wonderful Twitch subscriptions and Twitch bits and whatnot, then you're also agreeing to not use like a restreaming service that will stream to different platforms at the exact same time, the exact same stream. There may be loopholes or ways around that, but you would have to talk to like a partner manager. Like if you are a Twitch partner, I bet that they have ways that you can like work with the system to stream to multiple platforms at once. I did try Restream IO before I was a Twitch affiliate, and that was a really long time ago. OBS is awesome because it's free, it's open source. If you know any type of coding or CSS, then you can add customization to your OBS, both the interface as well as the sources that you add to your cool presentations here on OBS. So yeah, you want to make sure that you choose whichever service is here. There's more services available, and of course you can always add a custom service, but OBS I find to be the best way to stream from the computer. There's also ways to stream from OBS on your phone. So if you go to the Google Play Store on your Android device, like I am, just search for OBS and you'll see that there's OBS Studio. You can choose OBS Remote, which gives you options to switch between your scenes and do other cool stuff. And you'll notice that there are clearly other options for screen recording and streaming that are deviations of OBS. Like how we were mentioning earlier, how OBS is an open source broadcasting software, and that there's been other companies like Streamlabs and Stream Elements who have made their own versions of OBS, like Slobs. There's Streamlabs OBS, there's Stream Elements OBS, and they're each a deviation of the original OBS, which is on GitHub, which anyone can use. Anyway, so there's OBS Remote, which is cool. You can install that, and then you can OBS Remote. We can just install this really quickly. It's free as well, and we'll see what the options are once you get this app on your phone. This is a remote for the version. Okay, so you would have to put the OBS host name and all this. What I would have to say about OBS Remote, it basically does a lot of the same stuff that I personally use my Elgato Stream Deck to do, which is like switching between scenes, turning on and off sources, and you can do that stuff with the OBS Remote app, or I would personally recommend using the Stream Deck, but that is certainly not free. It's a piece of hardware that you can order off of Amazon, and I believe it's like 150 bucks, but I am like the luckiest girl in the world because our top supporter like totally gifted me the Stream Deck, so I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. The other settings that you have to choose from here, let's just quickly get through this. So once you make sure that you got the correct service like Twitch, you will have to make sure that you got, you know, the ingest server correct. You can either choose auto, which is the recommended, which will probably just try to find out which is the closest and or best server for you, which will probably be the closest one. For me is usually Seattle, but in case that one's down, it would be probably the next closest one would be like, I'm guessing San Francisco or Portland or something. Anyway, just make sure that the server is either whatever the recommended is or whatever. You can choose this stuff right here is just add-ons for the Twitch chat. If you're not streaming live and you just want to use OBS for recording software, then don't even worry about this, but you will want to take a look at these options if you're trying to stream. The other most important thing if you're trying to stream or if you're trying to record is, and especially if you're using a laptop for OBS, is to come over here to the output section under settings, output, and then output mode. I mean, I just have it at simple. I've heard a lot of people say that if you are trying to turn down your kilobytes per second, if you're trying to turn down your video bitrate to maximize or optimize your CPU, and if you say you're noticing dropped frames or you're not picking up your screen capture the way you want, or you're having problems, go here to the output and try turning down the video bitrate. And I've heard some tutorials say turn it down as far as 2500, and I did try that in the past, and I just have set it all the way down to 2000, which sounds super miserable and depressing, but it works for me, and it actually has been fine because when I'm streaming, I usually stream at 1280 by 720 at 30 frames per second at 2000 kilobytes per second as the bitrate for the video bitrate. And the audio bitrate, I turn all the way down to 160. I'm telling you, if I had a regular PC, I would definitely not be turning it all the way down this far. And if you have a more powerful gaming laptop, it has a more powerful gaming laptop. He has the Acer Predator, and that one is, I wouldn't say twice as powerful as the one that I'm using, but it is noticeably faster and more powerful than mine. So if I was streaming from his, I probably wouldn't turn down the video bitrate lower than 3000 on his, you know, but if you have to turn it all the way down to 2000 video bitrate, honestly, any less than that is probably going to look like... Seriously though, it's probably gonna look pretty bad if you try to turn it down any less than this. So that's why I have it as far down as I can without making it look absolutely terrible. So if you're trying to stream or record your laptop, these are some good settings to try, especially if you're trying to stream from your laptop and you're already having problems. These are the settings that I would recommend trying, is turning your video bitrate to 2000 kilobytes per second. Under the encoder, depending on what your laptop is, you may want to check the encoder and see which one works best for you. Some people say that the X264 is the best, and I was using that one for the longest time, and then more recently someone was like, you should really try this one because they had some updates. If you've got a laptop or a computer using NVIDIA, I would definitely recommend making sure that all your drivers and software and hardware alike are up to date, and also just go ahead and make sure that, you know, OBS is optimized to work along with NVIDIA, because that's what we got here with the Lenovo Legion Gaming Laptop. One of the coolest things about this laptop is that it does use NVIDIA graphics cards, and you don't want to let that go to waste. Under output is also where you'll choose where your video recordings will go. If you're saving a recording of your streams and or just your video recordings, if you're not streaming, this is where you choose where that path will go. Don't forget where you put this, because you might be like, oh no, where did I put it? Settings, output, browse, and this is where you can designate where it goes. And if you are doubtful about where you should put this, or you might forget, you know, first of all, I would recommend choosing somewhere to put your videos. Sometimes you might have a faster external hard drive. Like me, I use a solid state hard drive. I'll usually save a lot of my stuff on my solid state external hard drive, but that thing is totally filled up right now. So lately I have a particular videos folder on my D drive, but you know, you can put it on your desktop if that's going to be the easiest thing for you to remember. But don't forget that videos will take up a lot of space on your computer. So if you do save every damn recording that you make on OBS, don't forget where you save them, because you'll want to go back and delete them later. And especially delete the ones that you're not even going to use, and save the ones that you are going to use somewhere that you can remember where you put them. Try to be mindful of your organization early on, and trust me on that one, because you'll save yourself a lot of in the future. Stay organized if you can. Make a designated folder for your videos and organize your projects accordingly so that you can just, I don't know, spare yourself. You can choose if the recording quality is even better or you know, maybe less. I don't know. Anyways, so maybe the recording is going to be better quality than your stream. Depending on your internet quality, you may only be able to deliver a certain quality stream anyway, so you may have to turn down the settings of your stream recording. But here you can make sure that the recording is better quality. You can use the better quality recording for editing and uploading to YouTube. I personally love MP4 files. They seem to be pretty universal. MOV files work great as well. Depending on what your favorite video editing software is, you may or may not need a certain type of file. MP4 works great for me. I use Davinci Resolve for editing videos, and a lot of people say, can you edit videos in OBS? And I would say that not exactly, as far as I know. I did see, like, I had a sneaking suspicion that there is some type of add-on where you can do some type of trimming. This output tab is actually one of the most important things that you'll need to look for. Just don't forget this is where you go to set the quality and also to remember where you saved all your output. videos. Alright, under the audio tab, you may or may not need to adjust anything here. Just depends on how complicated you want to make your audio life. You may just want to have all the default settings, like your default audio system for your computer, but for me, I wound up using a software called Voicemeeter Banana, and I do not recommend this unless you are trying to separate different audio tracks. And if you don't have like an audio mixer, this is what Voicemeeter Banana looks like, and it's basically a way to separate your audio tracks so that, you know, it may be like right now I'm listening to music, but it's not being recorded on the screen capture. So you can do stuff like that with this extra software, Voicemeeter Banana, but I definitely don't recommend it unless you specifically need something like that. But if you're streaming, then it is something that is fun to use. It is really useful, especially if you're doing Discord chat with your friends, and if you're doing voice chat on Discord and overlaying that with your video or your stream, then Voicemeeter is great because then you can adjust the volume levels of your friends' voices. It's just another level of security if you need to quickly mute or something. As we all know, if something is said or done on your stream, even if it's someone else, then you're still the one who's liable because it's your stream. So if you're on voice chat with someone who's saying some very inappropriate things, then that's still your channel or whatever that's gonna be liable. Cute kitty just hopped over and like sat down in my lap. Under devices, that it has the correct desktop audio selected. And for you, it'll probably be default. For me, I've just got Voicemeeter input, and that's what I want. And for your mic, you're going to want to choose whatever microphone you're using. So if you have a headset that has a microphone on it, like this, like a headset mic, a USB headset mic or something, you might be using that mic, or you might have... Even I have a Bluetooth headphones in, and these have a mic on them too. This is a condenser microphone that I'm recording from right now. So usually a laptop microphone might be okay, except I would say that usually a laptop microphone is going to be the worst option that you could possibly have. Because the microphone basically will pick up all the noise from your laptop. So if you're trying to use your laptop default mic, it's also going to pick up the fan or whatever other noises are right there by your computer, like your clickety-clacketing of your fingers on the keyboard or the fan, refrigerator, you know. Anyway, you're probably going to want to try to get a decent microphone, and there are definitely some decent microphones out there. This is the one I've been using for the longest time. You can't really see it, it's like right off the screen. It's this one. It's covered by a sock, so even if I showed you, it's still pretty hard to see this mic. The microphone that I use is an AKG condenser microphone that's actually meant for recording music. So it's not exactly meant as a voice recording mic, but you know, I kind of just do with what I have, and this one, we already had it. It's a pretty good microphone. If anything, it's too good for recording for stream. If your audio is not working in OBS, just come over to under settings, audio, and make sure that you have the correct desktop audio and the correct microphone audio selected here. That's usually where the problem is with the audio. Another thing is that if you have problems with your audio, you're going to want to have to check your default computer settings with the audio. If you can't remember... whatever. Okay, so here's some more advanced sound settings so you can get an idea of like how loud are your system sounds compared to your OBS. A lot of this stuff are things that we would be adjusting in Voicemeeter Banana, which is one reason why I like using Voicemeeter Banana. Even though it can be a pain in the butt to use Voicemeeter Banana, it does offer more control, and that's why I choose to use it all the time. Let me know if you happen to have a particular audio problem, because sometimes there's ways to figure out what the problem is, and whether it's on desktop or laptop, sometimes the audio problems are the same issue. So let me know if you ever have a particular problem with OBS, and just be as detailed and specific with your problem as possible, and I'll do my best to let you know what I think you can do to fix it. Under video is where you can choose what size the base canvas is for your scene here. So right here is the base canvas. It's 1920 by 1080, and then the output is going to be 1280 by 720, and I have to turn it down just because my internet is not the best and I'm still kind of working with limitation. So boring, you know, like I'm ready to like not have to think about limitation anymore. But until then, we are optimizing our experience with limitation, and I would say You can experiment. If you are experiencing dropped frames, it could be because your internet's not fast enough, or if you're just doing screen recordings, screen capture recordings, and you are experiencing dropped frames or some other problem, you might want to just try adjusting some of these different settings, like 1920 by 1080. Try turning that down. For me, this is just what I found to work the best. With the Lenovo Legion, usually when I'm playing a game where I'm streaming, I'm also doing something else that is a little bit GPU/CPU intensive. So that's why I'll normally turn stuff down in OBS, because I want to preserve some of the quality in whatever else I'm doing. Right down here under hotkeys is something that's really useful. If you don't have a Stream Deck, then the hotkeys section right here is really helpful. You can choose like a hotkey on your keyboard to start recording, stop recording, or start and pause recording. That way, if you don't want to have to trim or edit or do any video editing later, you can do a hotkey. So every time you're ready to start recording again, you can pause or unpause your screen capture. So yeah, start streaming. I personally don't use any of these right now because I'm just using my Stream Deck for that type of shortcut. But these are really helpful, and I was using these before I got the Stream Deck. And it was honestly, it's just way more convenient to have the Stream Deck. In my opinion, I just really like it. It's got the visual buttons, you know. These are also really helpful, and I would recommend this. Basically, for each scene, you have different options for hotkeys, and you can turn on or off different sources in each scene. All my different scenes have the different sources here, and you can make hotkeys. So when you add a different source to your scene, then you can have a hotkey for it. Down here under the advanced tab are more options that you probably don't want to mess with unless you know what you're doing or you're going for something specific. I personally wouldn't touch any of this stuff. So yeah, we pretty much went through all the settings. We've got the general tab. The stream tab is really important. This is where you're streaming to, and you may have to set up the stream key. You have to make sure that you set up the stream key properly, which is a little bit different. Let me know if you want a particular video on setting up stream key, and if so, to which platform, because there's like 100 different platforms we could be talking about how to stream and set that up. Output. The output, we did this really quick, and this is basically where you turn down all your settings before crying yourself to sleep. And everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. So once you got the settings the way you want them, then you are ready to screen capture or record, and you may or may not want to set up different scenes. Quickly show you why I have things. Basically, so when you're streaming to, for example, Twitch, like this is my regular scenes format for streaming to Twitch. I got my starting scene. I've got 3 different chatting scenes. I've got the one that we're at right now is like scene number 1. And you can choose to go between these, and the way to choose the transitions. One thing that I really love about OBS is that it's really easy to move the windows around, and you can minimize the window, and then you can even pop these out. I wish that I could do this with Davinci Resolve, like pop out these little windows. Like you totally don't need to pop these out, but you can. So here's the scene transitions. This is freaking brilliant, by the way, OBS. Whoever's in charge of the popping these sections out is just brilliant. Thank you for that. I like to add the scene transitions right here between scenes and whatever the sources are, I guess. You can adjust the layout however is most comfortable for you, and this does get more important. Like the more you do this stuff, like you're probably gonna find out that you're gonna wish that you were as organized as possible. Like if you're just getting into streaming or making videos for YouTube, you'll find out that the more seamless and the more efficient you are with everything that you do, then the more time you'll save and the more time you'll have for other things that are more important. So if you can find a way of organizing your workspace that works for you, then by all means go with that and do the best that you can with all those options. So here on OBS, we've got, this is basically the display, and I've got my different scenes that look, you know, like this is my starting scene. Normally it'll have like a timer here as well. If you add a timer, that is separate. You know, you can add different things like a timer, countdown. This thing looks crazy, but this is what I use for a countdown timer. When I press start, then the timer will pop up here on OBS and start counting down. This is called snaz. But you know what? There's just so many different ways to do things. There may be better ways to do things these days, but that in particular is the way that I do countdown timer. So there's a just chatting scene. This would normally have like my face cam on it, but I got my face cam for the recording at the moment. This, whatever you want, you know, you can add anything that you want. I have like 3 different options for just chatting scenes. I got my be right back screen, which is just like the starting one. And then I'll have my ending soon scene, and this will also sometimes have ending credits that we can run that basically gives like people's names that subscribed or followed during the stream. There's a lot of really cool sources that you can add to your stream or your recording, and here in OBS I have added, basically in OBS you can add different sources, and right here I have a glitch transition, so whenever I go between my scenes you'll see the glitch transition, and you can upload whatever you want as a different alternate transition over here, or there's different default ones that you have. You can add different ones, default stinger transitions, fade to color, whatever you want for the scene transitions. These are really fun. If you do scene transitions, there's this one type of scene transition called a slider transition. And sometimes it takes a bit of extra effort to get the adjusting the time. The slider transitions are based on milliseconds. You can usually get it perfected with some effort. Basically, you can make different profiles for OBS, and I have just a few different profiles here. You can also make different scene collections. And so I made a new untitled scene collection with nothing in it just yet. And I'll just give you a quick example of what is it like when you have a brand new scene collection in OBS. Oh god, that made OBS crash. Okay, cool. Let's try to reopen it. If you've never used OBS before, all you gotta do is go to the OBS website and download it and install it. Alright, cool. So just go over here to obsproject.com and you can download it whether you're on Windows, Mac, or Linux. Just download it, and it's really easy to install. Make sure you install it where you want it on your computer. Here's a brand new OBS project. You've installed it, you've opened it up, and you're ready to add your first source. So we have our very first scene here. We can rename this by right-clicking and saying rename. It's kind of like right behind my face. Okay. You can right-click on scene and go to rename and say our first scene. And then you can add your very first source by going over here to source and clicking the plus button. And you can choose whatever you want here. So if you have a collection of videos, photos, backgrounds, or whatever you need for your profile, what I recommend is if you have some art for your overlays and whatnot, just put it all in one folder. That way it's really easy to find when you go to add your sources. First thing you might want to do is add an image source. We'll just leave it at saying image, and this will be our first image, projects, broadcasting, and then here's my one folder. And here I got my background video and things, but we're going for image right here, so this will be my background image. And say you open up an image as your source and it doesn't fit, well, all you gotta do is adjust the transform, and you can do that by either grabbing the corner right here and moving it with your mouse by sliding your mouse. You right click on it from right here in the viewer and go to transform and then fit to screen. We could have also done that by right clicking on image in the sources window here and go to transform, and you can do other stuff like flip horizontal or center to screen. So also if you accidentally click this and say you accidentally drag it all the time, you can right click on the image source and then go to transform, fit to screen, and then you can click on this little lock button, and once you lock it then you won't accidentally click on it. So then the next thing you might want to add to your scene, and you can choose a browser source, and this is basically like adding a web page to your stream, but as an overlay browser source. Normally it would not have any type of background, and it would probably be something like an alert. So if someone follows you on YouTube or Twitch, then the alert would go off and it would be presented as a browser source. When the alert happens, you'll see it on the stream. I'll just show you what it looks like really quick. If you're trying to add alerts to your stream and you have something like Streamlabs or Stream Elements, then just go to that site and log in, go to alert box, and then right here you'll see click to show widget URL, but since we're recording I'm not going to do that. Just press copy, and it copies the widget URL to your clipboard, and then that's where you can replace this right here in OBS. And anyway, that's how you would add your alerts. You could remove your sources by clicking the minus button, Anyway, this is basically where you can pretty much overlay whatever you want. If you want to add your camera source, that's where you would add your camera source. This is pretty much where you would add any source that you want to your stream / video recording. A lot of these things you don't need to add. Some of the most common ones that I use all the time include the browser source. The display capture includes anything that you want captured at like your game or your screen. There's also game capture, which could be for a separate game window. You might use the game capture option for a Steam game or other game where you want to select the actual game window. You can add as many images as you want, and you can add GIFs as images. You can add an image slideshow, which is one of my favorite options because sometimes I have like a bunch of logos for the teams that I'm on and I want them to rotate in a slideshow. Add a new slideshow, and then you can say where you want this thing to add, like you can say add file directory, and that's how you would choose a particular file directory, and you could put like a bunch of different images in here. You can't see the images, you can only see the directories because we're going to choose that directory. And then once it's selected, then you can see this is my team slideshow. So you can then kind of choose like how long does each image stay on the screen, how long is each transition, you know, the speed. Select the folder and press OK. So the cool thing about that is that you can have like multiple images in one slideshow right there. Similarly, you can add a video slideshow by clicking the plus button and then going to... There are so many settings within OBS that like it'll really just depend on what exactly you want to use it for, and then you'll want to just Google specifically what you're going for. And I promise you that there's so many really good tutorials out there, ones that are way better than mine as well, because some people use OBS with like 2 computers at once. Like people use 2 desktops at once for streaming sometimes. Dual PC streaming is one thing that people do. I only have a laptop. All my information is like based on like laptop streaming and specializing with content creation with a laptop and a mobile device with my phone pretty much. So pretty specific, you know. One really interesting thing is that you can add scenes within other scenes. So video source, you can add the VLC video source option, and this is how you can also add a directory for videos. And I like to do this. I'll actually have like one folder that has a bunch of my most recent best clips from Twitch, and so it'll be like on rotate, like playing through those videos. So that's an option. Another use for that option is I like to have like rotating background videos. So the background sometimes will rotate between like 3 different background videos. You can also add individual videos as well, but I found it really cool that you could add the directories because then you can keep it kind of fresh, just like for my Be Right Back scene and my starting scene, and I'll have the directory with all the newest clips. So the main takeaway from this video is if you are trying to stream or do screen capture recordings from a laptop, you may be faced with the fact that you'll have to turn down settings, and even I'm having a bit of a challenge here trying to show you how it's done because it seems like it's a little bit much for my laptop to have 2 versions of OBS running at once. So I'll just wrap it up by saying that OBS is super fun. You can use OBS for just regular screen recording. And by the way, it won't let you just stream to Twitch or YouTube without setting things up. Once you get everything set up, then streaming will work out just fine for you. But if you're just trying to record and you don't need to stream, don't even worry about that. And you can just say start recording, and then it'll give you the option to stop, you know, start and stop recordings. And as far as I know, there's no way to do like video editing inside of OBS. So what I normally do is I use Davinci Resolve for video editing after I'm done getting my screen capture with my video overlay and using my microphone of choice or whatever it is. And then I'll just video edit that in Davinci Resolve. Is it perfect for video editing? Is it perfect for screen capturing your computer screen and overlaying with face cam and or other audio or your microphone? Then it's perfect for that, and it's also perfect for streaming. But I definitely recommend OBS because it's free. And oh yeah, I was gonna say, why is it better than the other options? Hold on, let me tell you that. One thing that I can vouch for that I've heard other people say is that OBS does not run very heavy on your system. And that's what drew me to it, is that I was basically trying to find the broadcasting software that would take the least amount of, effort for my computer. And I did actually start off by using XSplit. So I had used XSplit and then I had moved to Streamlabs OBS, and I had used both of those before trying OBS. And I would have to say that OBS uses the least amount of CPU, and in general it gives me the least amount of headaches, and I really do like using OBS. There's quite a few awesome features within the other broadcasting softwares as well. I'm more than happy to answer more specific questions about broadcasting softwares and why certain features may be better or worse than others, but I only know my particular experience, so I'll just let you know from my perspective, and I'll be honest and let you know if I actually just don't have the answer. Because like I said, I use with just a gaming laptop, and I don't really have much more experience with OBS except for with my gaming laptop. I have been streaming on Twitch for a while at this point. I always wish that I could be offering my viewers better quality streams. Not the worst problem that I could have, because there's a lot of people that are not actually able to watch a stream if it's, better quality than 1280 by 720. So yeah, basically the coolest part about OBS is that you can just do basic screen capture. You can design an entire presentation using the scenes, and you can swap between the scenes with cool transitions, and it's really easy to link up scene transitions to your Stream Deck, which is what I normally use. And it looks a lot like this. The Stream Deck, I should really do a full-blown review about this one day, but there's a lot of really easy ways to link up OBS with your Stream Deck, and it makes it a lot easier to switch between your scenes, and so many fun things to offer on OBS. If you were wondering oh, where did that thing go? I can't find my status bar or these things. Just go along the top here and you can usually find anything that you're looking for. You might be oh, where did my chat go? I personally don't like the chat, but you might wind up accidentally closing something. And so you can open up your chat. There's the chat built in right there. I could go into why, but I usually use my chat from my dashboard of Twitch. So I normally just have that closed. But if you're oh no, I closed that thing and I can't find it, just go up here to view. Just check under here and you can usually find what you're looking for. There's also scene collection. You may at certain points want to save or export your scene collection. If you export your scene collection, it's just a backup, and that way if something happens OBS crashes or your computer crashes or something happens like that, you got a backup. You can do an export of your scene collection right here. You can also duplicate it and then alter your duplicate. You may want a lot of the same things and just delete certain things like your backgrounds or whatever. Then you can duplicate your scene collection. Here under tools, honestly, I just leave all this just the way it is. Oh yeah, this is one of those options on the remote option on the phone where it's Elgato remote control for OBS. You could try that. Some of these things I haven't even gotten to trying yet, but I am totally down to optimizing and learning more about how I can optimize a laptop with OBS. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Also, I'm just always trying to share my knowledge, whatever I've learned. It feels really good to be able to share when I do actually learn some new things in OBS. I personally watched about 100 tutorials before actually streaming. So maybe my perspective could add to the 100 tutorials that someone watches. Maybe you learn one or two different things that you didn't learn from all those other tutorials. You can go to the OBS Discord for support and ask them questions. And sometimes they might ask for your crash log report, and that's where you would find it. So yeah, those are the basic main things that you need to know how to do. There's more settings under audio and stuff. You can adjust the audio volume for each of these different tracks. You can add, you don't always need voice meter banana. You can definitely separate your audio here. And if you have a Stream Deck, that's always really helpful too. You do not need a Stream Deck, and you can use hotkeys and stuff. Oh, I didn't know that you can do that. Always on top, hello. Totally. All the time I'm needing to like put that on top when it should have just always been on top. Well, I hope that helped anyone who's just getting started with OBS or curious about how to get capture of their screen for when they're playing games or doing vlogs. You know, sometimes you want to point out things that you're doing on your computer while you're doing your overlay with your camera. You can use the built-in camera that came with your you can use your built-in laptop camera, but I personally use a different camera. It's a Logitech C922, and it's a lot better, in my opinion, than the camera that's built into my gaming laptop. Also, I'm able to better adjust the angle of the external camera. I would definitely not want to use my default camera unless I absolutely had to. In fact, I learned how to use my camera on my phone as an alternate camera source, as an IP camera source, and so that's a different option and definitely a better camera quality than probably your gaming laptop. But who knows? Maybe your laptop has better camera built in than mine. You got to work with what you got, so just check and see what are your best options. And no matter what you are working with, you may find that OBS is the best broadcasting software. I've tried 3 in particular. I've worked with those 3 that I mentioned: XSplit, Streamlabs OBS, and regular OBS, and this one has definitely been my favorite and works faster, more efficiently. In general, it's really intuitive, it's open source, it's free, so that's why I like to use it. And also it seems to be, you know, it works the best with my computer, and you know, I always have to make sure that I'm not pushing my computer to its limits. Sometimes the CPU will max out, but OBS does not usually cause a problem. But programs like XSplit was noticeably showing higher CPU usage than OBS. I'm not exactly going to do a compare and contrast, but it's at least 10% better on the CPU usage. Say you want to go ahead and get your previous recordings, just remember, go to File and then Show Recordings, and that's where you can find the folder that you set your recordings, alright? So it's really that easy to record from your computer, and as long as you got all the settings correct, you should be able to record your desktop and or your microphone just the way you want and adjust those levels, no problem. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I hope to see your creations soon. Drop a link in the comments if you wound up using OBS for something awesome. I wanted to point out that with OBS, you can use green screen, and I've been messing around with the green screen a lot lately, trying to get really good lighting and doing some fun stuff with the green screen. So that's just one other cool feature when you add your camera source to OBS, that you can turn on the chroma key and dance around and do whatever you want. Green screen is so much fun, you know. It used to be reserved for only the movies, and now anyone can make a channel and do their own green screen tricks and have fun. Yep, that's OBS in a nutshell for you, friends. Alright, friends, well, I hope that answered all your questions, and let me know if you have any other particular questions about streaming or screen capture recordings. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.